What does it take to be best friends with your enemy? Well, that is what I learned from watching the Netflix series Full Swing, season one, episode one. Watching the dynamics between best friends Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. Um, Let me tell you, I had to literally go and look up the difference between loyalty and allegiance because at first I wanted to say Justin Thomas, was loyal to Jordan, walking in his shadow. He said they've been best friends since they were 13 and he wanted to, beat him in every game for the rest of his life. But, you know, I- you can tell that Jordan is, you know, aesthetically pleasing. He's arrogant. He's confident. He's cocky. And then you have Justin Thomas, who is, I would say, a bit envious of that. And it's it's not easy, being a prodigy of golf. His Justin Thomas's dad and grandpa, they all were in the golf arena. And, I would say that he had a little bit of pressure to continue that and not just be good, but actually be the best. And then you become best friends with someone and you're thinking, at 13 years old, we're going to be best friends. We're going to learn this game together. You help me, I help you. But there is a clear distinction here that you and I are rivals. You and I are competing against each other. This is cutthroat. I will be ruthless towards you, and you are expected to be ruthless towards me. And there's a silent code that we're going to continue on with our friendship with this tension. And I was just so hooked after watching the very first season. So I went to go look up the difference between loyalty and allegiance because I wanted to say that Justin Thomas was loyal to Jordan, but it was much deeper than that. So I said, you know what? So I went ahead and looked up synonyms for loyalty and I couldn't really find out, I was like, no, those are not the right ones. So I kept looking a little harder and then I saw allegiance and I thought, that is it. That is it. So I'm going to read it to you. Um, Loyalty and allegiance are related concepts, but they are not the same. Loyalty is more personal and emotional, while allegiance often implies a formal commitment to a cause or authority. And after I read those first two sentences, it's really, one long sentence separated by a semicolon. But I knew, I said, that is it. That is it. Because Justin and Jordan, they're not, at least from not what we have seen in this episode of Full Swing, episode one, um, unless there's some other stuff going on behind the scenes that, the public is not aware of. But if their emotions had gone personal, they would not have been able to pull it together to be filmed for shows for our consumption, for us to watch on Netflix. So their differences aside, their jealousy, their rivalry, their ruthlessness, their competitiveness, their tension, their pressure from family members, and reputation, everything is on the line. And they had to put all of that in consideration and still commit to the cause, to the authority, to the game of golf. They had to respect it. And that is not just a regular commitment that you make, that is a formal commitment. It's loud, it's public. There are fans, that are following you. There are brand deals. This is not something that you could just walk away from. So when I read that definition, I thought, yes, that's definitely it. There are some contexts. It says loyalty refers to a strong feeling of devotion, faithfulness, or attachment to a person or group or cause. It is often based on personal relationships and emotional connections, such as loyalty to friends, family, or a brand. Loyalty is generally seen as voluntary and can change over time based on personal experience and feelings. And I knew that although they might have some loyalty to each other, Jordan, is loyal to Justin. Justin is loyal to Jordan. Obviously, having been best friends since you were 13 years old, as you get older, right, as men, as you know, fall in line with the patriarchy, understand your place in society, living up to the legacy of your family and their name, it begins to change into allegiance. Now, allegiance, the definition is, it says, on the other hand, typically denotes a formal commitment or duty. And of course, that formal commitment or duty is to the game of golf. It's not just a game; it's a business. It's a career. It's a way of life. I mean, they eat, breathe, and sleep golf. Um, it says a commitment or a duty to a higher authority, such as a country, government, organization. And in this case, Full Swing, Season 1, Episode 1, it's the PGA Tour. It often involves an oath or pledge and is associated with a sense of obligation and duty. Allegiance is more commonly used in political or military context. And believe you me, if you do not think that the game of golf, it does not involve political or military tactics or strategies, you're highly mistaken, because these guys are constantly strategizing, constantly getting in each other's heads, constantly thinking many, many steps ahead. It's not a game that you can just, fly on the whim and get some adrenaline and no. You have to be extremely level headed. So let me continue reading it. It says allegiance is more commonly used in political or military context, where individuals may be required to prioritize the interest of the state or organization over personal interest. And as I was watching episode 1, I could really see sometimes the stress. They both looked extremely tired, like they lacked sleep. They looked worried, worried for themselves, worried for each other, and they had to put that away. They had to put that away to play the game, not just play the game, but play the game to win. And then you have cameras from Netflix following them around, interviewing them. And then anything can happen. When the media gets a hold of your content, they can, mix it, they can cut it, they can spin it any way they like. By the time the producers and the engineers are, done in the studio with the music and the this and the that, what really happened and what they have to portray is happening to sell that show to you and I to watch are two different things. So I can't, imagine what that would feel like. So they have a lot of pressure. I'm surprised that their pipes didn't burst already, because I am telling you, watching season one, episode one, I could literally see the flames literally flying out of their ears. I mean, they were so close to bursting. I mean, they're fighting, to win the PGA Tour. It's a battle. It literally is a battle. And they're going to the airport together. They're driving in the car together. This relationship is extremely um, incestuous, and not. I use that word very vaguely, not in any manner that's uh, unbecoming of any type of respect to Jordan and uh, Justin, but incestuous in the way that their lives overlap as best friends, um, as that even just their daily time together. They spend an enormous amount of time together. They're on the jet together. They're in the golf cart together. They're driving to the airport together. They're they're sitting down getting interviewed by Netflix producers and directors. I don't even know if directors interview people, but you know it's a lot, and you could see both of them wanting to win, and neither of them backed down from winning. They both said, listen, I'm here to win, and that's it. I'm not giving this up to anyone just because you're my best friend, just because we've known each other since we were 13, just because our families are very close with each other. Absolutely not. This is a battle to the death. And it takes true professionalism, and that's allegiance. That is not loyalty. It is something deeper. It is something more stringent, stronger, a different type of commitment to go against your best friend, and try to take their dreams, their goals, their um, everything that they ever wanted away from them, just like they're trying to do to you, right? And still keep the friendship intact. I mean, they were on the private jet and they were playing, games with each other, and they were genuinely, laughing. They were having a laugh, and it was genuine. I could feel it through the screen. You know, um, that is definitely not easy. I mean, even when you see reality shows and they talk about how wonderful, how best, much of the best friends they are. I mean, you can look at, them on the television screen, and think, oh my gosh, I could smell this, nonsense from a mile away. But these guys really, really, really seem to really be in tune with one another. They respect each other and care about each other. Um, and care about each other enough not to let the other one win, to respect them enough to bring your A game, and allow the your opponent to earn their game, earn their winnings, earn their place. And I mean, I'm so hooked. I can't wait to move on to I'm sorry, episode two. But this battle in season one really did set the precedent for how interesting the show is going to be. And it really did differentiate, to me, the difference between loyalty and allegiance. And I was really stressing allegiance in reference to Justin, but it's not fair to Jordan. He is definitely showing his allegiance to the game of golf as well as to his best friend. But because Justin is the underdog, Justin is the one that's, having to sit back and watch Jordan Spieth win over and over again. I say that the um, it is incumbent upon him to be more, um, to show more allegiance to Jordan, to the game of golf, because he has something to prove. He has to swallow his pride and put some things aside and show up every day, come back every day. And so wonderful. I mean, I love words. Wonderful episode. I've always been obsessed with words. I got it from my mother. She used to, make me look up the definitions of words, find the synonyms and antonyms, the origins, the Latin, original Latin meaning. And my favorite part was reading the third and fourth meanings of words that people don't normally use in everyday language. Um, and then my mother would, have me write sentences with those words. So when, even when I'm watching a movie and I am analyzing the movie in my head as I'm watching it, or anything, it doesn't have to be a movie. It could be, watching an event unfold as I'm people watching in Starbucks. I'm always trying to sum up everything in a word of what I am seeing, right? I'm always trying to understand, what is this? I know this has a word. I know there is a phrase that's connected to this somehow, or even a clinical meaning, or a case study. I know this has a word. It's been studied and documented. What is it? And so being obsessed like that, when I watch these golf shows, my brain automatically goes to summing it up into, what is this? What are their actions showing me? And so hopefully this is not just a review of season one, episode one of Full Swing. Hopefully it's where you can come and not learn the definitions of words and learn the differences, because that's even more important. Learning the differences of uh you know words, and when to use them, and how to use them. Hopefully I can do a good job, or even a better job, on episode two. I'll see you guys in episode two.